Okay, everybody, welcome, welcome, welcome. Just waiting for a few more people to log on. People look like we're having a little bit of a difficulty here, but we definitely gonna get that taken care of.
See everybody. He's listening to everyone. Oh, so
It's like that.
only he can see us, but he's presenting.
Right. We ain't gonna see everybody.
He's gonna see everybody, but
He gonna see everybody, but we gonna see. He gonna
excuse me.
like that online class.
Yeah, but I don't. I guess it's. So do I have to play?
Yeah, you got.
Do I have to put play, or I'm just waiting on him now?
I don't know. It's
All
connected.
right, guys, we're waiting on a couple more people here to join, and we'll get started. How's
Oh,
everybody
okay,
doing today? Can
All
everybody
right.
hear
pretty
me?
good.
Can everybody see the presentation?
Yeah, can you hear us?
Yes, I hear you.
Okay, great.
Awesome, awesome, awesome.
Don't make noise, 'cause I'm gonna see you in the room. Back up.
All right, so let's get started, guys. Again, thank you guys for joining. This definitely tells me that you guys have the desire to want to become homeowners. That's definitely one of the critical parts of actually getting more information and taking those first steps. So let's get started. So kind of what we're going to talk about today is we're going to talk about the mindset that you have to kind of start this process of owning a home. Why is now a great time to buy a home? Your first important steps and why. We're going to talk about some of the homebuyer programs, homebuyer programs for veterans, your second most important step, and then just some quick highlights of the actual buying process. And then if there's any questions, I'll definitely answer them. Okay.
All right.
Okay.
So let's talk about mindset. You know, one of the biggest things, if you, for me and my experience of dealing with a lot of first-time buyers, is kind of visualizing, and understanding why do you want to buy a home. Um, that process is going to help you as you're going through the process of actually trying to find the right home, doing all the paperwork, looking at thousands of listings and whatnot, and to let you really realize why you're doing this. So for some people, you're looking for more space. For others, you're tired of uh, renting and having next door neighbors that close to you, and amongst the other things. So kind of, what is that ideal home for you? For me, ideal home is, 4 bedroom, well, actually 5 bedroom, 4 baths. So I have kids. Um, Kind of a more modern, contemporary look. So something similar to like this. Everybody might have their own visualization of what the perfect home for them or ideal home. This is kind of something that will kind of I ideally want. Um, Something that looks like this from the front that has a great presence, a kitchen, because my fiance loves to cook in the kitchen for our kids and entertain for the family. And obviously for me, the privacy and the luxury of having a spa-like bathroom. For others, it just might be a simple home, just as small as it is. So, like I said, you got to understand what is the big why. Why are you wanting to buy a home? You also want to be motivated because of that. Because, like I said, the process could be short, the process could be long. Um, especially being you're a first-time buyer. You're going to have dozens of questions. You're going to be anxious. You're going to want to make sure that you're making the right decision. And at the end of the day, you got to fall back on, why am I doing this? And then the next portion of that is perseverance. So what you'll end up noticing, like I said, is that you might get to a situation, especially in this kind of market, where the home that you decide that you want and that fits your needs, other people might like have that same idea as well. So you could get into a competition for that. So what I always like to tell people is, when we're making that offer on their home, if we got beat by that one extra dollar, are you okay with that? Do you feel like, hey, that's just what's in our home, and then we just have to move on to the next one? Um, I've dealt with buyers where it took maybe a few weeks to find that right home, and my longest thus far has been about 6 months, because you're really starting to go through the process of figuring out what do you really do like and what you can live without. And just to have that belief and trust in the process, the belief in the person that you're dealing with, whether it's an agent like myself or any other agent, that they're going to help you succeed and get the home that you want. So why buy now? For most people that I deal with, they're usually renting. If you haven't noticed, and if you've been looking on the market as far as rentals, rental rates are increasing. You kind of have that just dynamic from when the whole financial crisis happened. People stopped building, credit wasn't available, people lost their homes, so they had to find a place to stay. So usually they went to go rent or they stay with a relative. But with that, people weren't building apartments either. So what you'll notice is that, that apartment that was going for $900 a month, due to the current market, is probably going for $1,200 a month, and nothing's really changed about the inside of it. They still have old amenities in there, maybe some new paint. Right now, interest rates are at an all-time low. So what that allows you to do is actually buy a bigger house than you normally could before. In comparison, years prior to that, interest rates were about around 6-7%, and then even further back, they were even double that. Another thing is that you're going to have a lot of programs available to help you with homebuyer programs for down payment and closing cost assistance. Um, One of the big things for us and our mission is to kind of make that known, because with all that money that's available, you should take advantage of it, and there should be a reason why not. You're also going to have lenders; they're actually more willing to lend, because they have not only a financial gain from that, but some people actually have the goal of improving neighborhoods. And then for a great agent like myself and others, uh, you know, there you have people that are here committed to actually helping you guys achieve your goals, and it's not going to cost you anything. So let's compare rent versus buy, right? The advantages for renting for some people usually is less than, cost wise. As far as buying, you don't have as much responsibility. As far as maintenance, somebody takes care of that for you, as well as repairs. Now the disadvantage is you don't get any of the tax benefits. You can't deduct your interest payments. You don't get the chance to build the equity. Rather, you're building the equity for the actual owner of the apartments or the owner of the house if you're renting a home. You're not getting participating in any of that. And then with that as well, your rate is going to usually increase. Every year they're going to bump you $50, $75, $100, or whatever the case may be. When you compare that to buying, you do get those benefits. You have a greater stability of where you're at. You're building that equity. Majority of Americans who own a home, that's usually where their equity and their wealth lies, is within their home. You have the pride of ownership. You're not renting. This belongs to you. So if you want to change the paint color, you can. If you want to add and upgrade bathrooms, you can. You don't have to ask for permission. And in most cases, if in my suggestion, definitely go with a fixed rate. Your monthly payments are the same every month after month, so there's no changes. Now you do have the additional responsibility of paying property taxes, repairing and taking care of the home. Your cash is going to be tied up in the home. You can't just up and leave in most cases if you wanted to move, so it does take a little bit longer sometimes to actually sell your home depending on the circumstances. So let's look by the numbers. So like I said, for most people who are renting, if you have a large family, 4-bedroom, 2-bath, or 3-bedroom, 2-bath, you're probably paying anywhere from minimum probably $1,300 to $1,600, just depending on the location and the amenities inside. So one of my clients we recently helped, I don't know if you guys, hopefully you guys can see that. She got a loan basically for 160,000. Interest rate was 4 3/4. And so if you look closely here, based on that, her monthly payment without any taxes or insurance was $914.93. So you compare that to actually renting and the benefits of actually owning. Right now, like I said, it's going to be the best time to buy. And then because of the location that she was in, as far as her property taxes and the homeowner's insurance that she had to purchase, her monthly payment totaled out 1,286.12 cents. So still well below. She got a 4 bedroom, 2 bath, we're 2,100 square feet, and it was a home that was built in 2006. So when you compare those two, obviously for me, and you will see from statistic wise that buying is going to be your best option right now. So the first important step for most people, they're always asking, where do I go? How do I start? What should I do? I know I probably should get my credit repaired, and you definitely want to do that. But I always suggest have a lender, talk to a lender, right? Get a game plan so that way they can understand your finances, you can understand your credit better from perspective of actual lender. Now, the person that I work with majority of the time to help me with my first time home buyers and with the home buyer program is Jamie House from Guild Mortgage. If anybody after this event wants his information, I can definitely send it to you guys afterwards. But what we do is we figure out a game plan. We're going to look at your information. He's going to put it in an analyzer, and that way he can kind of tell you exactly the things you need to do. For some instances, we had a client that when he looked at it, she only needed to basically get a secure credit card, and it only took her about 90 days after she got it to report it, and it boosted her score up significantly to where she qualified for the home buyer programs and a loan, and we went about buying a home. So, as far as, your credit, you definitely want to pull your credit report, dispute any negative reporting and errors. Um, Typically, any charge off within a year, you probably want to settle or pay off. If there's anything greater than that, definitely I suggest speaking with a lender. I know a lot of people go through credit repair companies. In my personal opinion, the amount of money that you're paying them, a lot of stuff you can do yourself. You can simply dispute it online. When you pull your report, you can call and make settlements, because that's basically what they're doing. They're not doing anything special, in my opinion. I've dealt with a client that ended up paying around $3,000 just to get her credit repaired, and nothing happened. And that had been going on for about a year and a half. So, take it with a grain of salt. Like I said, my suggestion is always speak to a lender. They're going to look at your credit, and they're going to be more conservative because you have all these different scores out there, and they're going to look at the median score, ones that show close to each other, and then because they're conservative, and then like I said, they're going to look at your finances and figure out what do you need to do as far as qualifying for a loan in the shortest amount of time. And then they'll have some flexibility because most lenders, as opposed to actual banks, that's all they do is lend. That's all they do is mortgages, as opposed to banks that do additional services. Start paying your bills on time. Reduce your credit card balances. The caveat or the rule of thumb is about 33% of your available credit. So you want to get down to that usage rate. If you can on certain credit cards or transfer balances, we can get rid of one and get that rate down as far as available credit. And then, like I said before, getting a secure credit card. When you get that, the people that I recommend is usually Capital One has a good program. Depending on how you qualify, you might have to pay like $50 initially, but then that gets credit to you, and then they'll give you a starting off limit of about $200, $300, or even higher, depending on where you're at. And just kind of use it for, like using gas or groceries, anything that you would normally pay cash for. That same day, use it that way. Don't use it for any large purposes or to try to hold over on certain payments. And like I said, let the lender analyze your situation through their special program, which are going to be more precise than you would see from when you pull your actual report. So what about the assistance, right? So we got our credit taken care of. We're looking like we're going to be approved for a loan. Now what, right? So a couple of other people that we work with, as far as with these home buyer programs. Um, Angelita Stanford, she's down in Dallas, the Home Loan Counseling Service. All their programs are free of charge. They help with counseling as far as what to prepare for, the process, um, getting you qualified for the exact same programs to get the down payment assistance. If you're in Tarrant County, which would be like your Arlington and Fort Worth, in those areas, it'll be the exact same thing. I have a lady named Suzanne Perez. She's very helpful. She's helped many of our clients to get qualified for loans and walk them through the same programs. Now, a lot of the programs we'll talk about will have educational classes that you have to take, and it's just kind of go over the basics of home ownership and just kind of get you prepared. So there's nothing to be worried about. So the power of these homebuyer programs. So this is an example of one of the clients that we work with. So if you see here at the top, the contract price, we're looking at $170,000 home. Now we look underneath that, her settlement charges. So this is what basically her down payment, the lender costs, as far as doing the loan, originating the loan, and all that was about $11,000. So we look down here, one of the programs that we got her into was the SEF program, which is a bond. And that basically gave her $8,370 and some change to actually go towards her closing cost assistance. And then if we look at the very, very bottom, what she had to bring to closing was $550.74. Now, granted, in addition to that, we were able to negotiate with the seller to give some closing cost assistance of another $3,500. She did pay $500 for a deposit. So if you basically subtract out of, if you add back the $3,500, if you did get the seller assistance, she basically brought $4,000. So bringing $4,000 as opposed to $11,000 is a huge, huge difference, especially for the amount of money that most people are trying to save or have saved in their account. So you just kind of see the power of using these programs as opposed to just going out and just applying for a loan and not taking advantage of it. Here is another one. Client was buying a $165,000 home, and then basically we had another $8,000 from the grant program as well. And then at the very bottom, she had to bring $576.57 to the program. So, like I said, a lot of people should take advantage of using these programs and get advantage of using them in order to purchase a home. So here's a list of some of the programs available. You got the Homes for Texas Heroes, the SEF program, My First Texas Homes, which I'll talk a little bit about, the Mortgage Credit Program as well. The City of Dallas has a mortgage assistance program. If anybody heard of NACA, they work with people as well within the local communities in Dallas to get pre-qualified for a loan. And then just a lot of others that I'll kind of go into. But here's kind of the list. After this is over with, I'm going to send a packet of this information as far as these programs, which have a little more details. So the Home for Texas Heroes and Home Sweet Texas Home Loan. So this is basically if you're a teacher, police officer, corrections officer, firefighter, or anything like that, or a veteran, kind of the program highlights is a 30-year fixed loan. There's no upfront points or fees. The down payment assistance doesn't need to be repaid. And for some people, if it's not your first time buying, it's maybe your second time, or you had an issue before where you lost your home, you don't have to be a first-time home buyer. You don't have to live in a home for a set period of time, which you realize that some programs, depending on what the qualifications are, may require you to stay in your home for a couple of years. They even may basically put a second lien on your property in which you have to make sure you stay there for a while, but doesn't never have to be repaid back. And then this program can be also used in conjunction with the mortgage credit program, and it can be used to purchase or refinance an existing loan that you might have. The SEF program, which a lot of people take advantage of, The maximum price on this, as far as purchase price, is 250,000. You're going to get up to about 6% of the purchase price and basically home buyer assistance. So if you're talking about a $2,000 home, you're talking about $12,000 roughly of assistance to help pay for that home. There's no repayment. There's no recapture period. They don't even put a second lien on your home. It's basically a bond program, so it's not something that will be hindrance on you in the future. Now, there is an income qualification for it, and then they do have a restriction for certain areas like in Travis County, which is basically in Austin and El Paso, Grand Prairie, and McKinney. And then, like I said, a lot of these programs, you'll have some of your online classes that you have to take just for this particular program in general. My First Texas Home, this is actually one of the programs that one of our clients that I showed you here previously took advantage of. Fixed rates, very competitive for first-time home buyers, or if you haven't owned a home within the past 3 years. It's about 5% or $8,000, depending on the price of the home. Like I said, it's a fixed rate. So the mortgage credit program, this is exclusively for first-time buyers or people who haven't owned a home in the last 3 years. Kind of how it works is, so for example, family purchases a home for $120,000 at an interest rate at 4 3/4. The interest paid for the first year is $5,700. So basically the tax credit of 40% of the interest paid basically will equal $2,280, and they kind of show you how that works as far as number wise. Now, with that, you can still take that credit along with your interest deduction and file that for your taxes so you can save on that. So a lot of these programs you can use in conjunction with. That's going to definitely save you every year when you're filing your taxes in conjunction with your normal deductions that you would get.
Is that one income restricted as well?
No, no.
Oh, okay. I thought I read somewhere on the Seth website that it was that you had to make under a certain amount to be able to qualify.
For the SEF program, yeah, the SEF program has income.
Well, I mean the mortgage certificate.
Yeah, eligibility, but this mortgage certificate, that's pretty much your added bonus as far as using any of the additional programs. But to qualify for that particular program, you have to have that. You have to meet that guideline as far as the income restriction.
And then the mortgage credit was on top of that.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. That's correct. The HAPA program, this is something that the city of Fort Worth, I'm not too sure how many individuals are looking to move to Fort Worth, but you basically receive a subsidy up to basically $15,000 if the home is located in Fort Worth. You can use the full subsidy or you can use partial of it for down payment. The only thing is that they must be your primary residence, so you can't be, if you're trying to invest or anything like that, you can't use it for that. They do have a minimum contribution of your own money that you would have to put forward, which is either $1,000 or 2% of the purchase price, whichever is lower. And then they take it a step further, where you have to have them inspect the home. So kind of how that process works is kind of similar to what I'll talk about later with a VA. Basically, it's a third party, and their only goal is to make sure that the home that you're buying is livable and that you won't have any issues going forward. So it's always an added plus. It can add a little bit more to your timeline as far as closing on a home, depending on what the seller hasn't done or needs to do to the home. So it could delay it in that aspect, but it's always a good thing. I see it as a benefit. It's basically just another eye after you do your home inspection to make sure you didn't miss anything and that you're getting what you paid for and nothing less. So let's talk about for veterans, right? For those of you who are veterans, most of you heard a VA loan is guaranteed by the Department of Veterans Affairs. You don't have to worry about any down payment, which is an added plus. You don't have any mortgage insurance. You get very competitive rates They're easier to qualify for, and then there's also limits on for closing costs that you have to pay and what the seller has to pay. They can pay a little bit more all your closing costs. And then depending on your circumstances, you probably won't have to pay any property tax, or you may have to pay some. It just depends on what we'll talk about here as far as disability. But there's never any prepayment penalties, so you can always get out of that anytime as far as refinancing. So if you are a veteran, what I'll definitely suggest is to make sure that you're eligible. Here's kind of your eligibility guidelines for you. You at least have to serve 90 days consecutively active service, or 180 days of active service during peacetime, or more than 6 years service in the National Guard or Reserves. Um, the spouse could be a service member who has died in the line of duty as a result of service-related duty. So your spouse can actually take advantage of it as well. What you're gonna get and what you're gonna get, and your lender usually can help you is obtaining a certificate of eligibility. This document just basically certifies that you do qualify, because they're gonna need this when they actually submit the loan to get guaranteed. But your lender can help you. If not, the link below, the website below, um, will definitely give you more information and allow you to actually do it on their website. Another thing that a lot of veterans don't know about, which is called the Texas Veteran Land Board. Now, this is not the VA. This is actually a state benefit. Um, Texas is one of 6 states that offer veterans benefits, but we're the only state with actual land program. So for those who want to buy land and then build on it, or just want to buy some land, you can actually take advantage of this program here. Um, Another thing that you'll realize with this program, if you are using your VA benefits, your VA loan, and you wanted to buy another home, or you're going through a situation where you need to get another home, you can actually use this as well and not be hindered. So you're going to get below market interest rates going through the VLB. They're going to have loans, home improvement loans, land loans. You can also work with them if you have needs for long-term care, and for those who pass away in the act of service, you can work with them to get your dignified burial for benefits. So kind of they have a similar thing as far as eligibility. As far as for all veterans, 9 days of cumulative active service or duty, and basically in any of the reserves or any of the National Guards. It's pretty much as long as you haven't been dishonorably discharged. You have to be a Texas resident. Basically, all it means is if you've been here for 1 day, you're considered in their eyes a Texas resident. Um, like I said, unmarried and surviving spouse, you're eligible as well if your spouse had died in action or was missing in action. So you can use all these programs more than once. You can participate in all of them simultaneously. The properties just have to be within Texas. The VLB will actually do the processing of the loan, so they are going to look at your credit. Now you can't use the VLB for any construction or refinancing loan. So if you are actually going to do the construction, you're roughly going to run into have to find an intermediary, which basically another lender who would do the construction loan, which will run anywhere from 10 to 20% down, and they'll cover the rest. And then after that, you can take advantage of using their program. So interest rates for land loans for veterans is 6 3/4 on a land loan, which is very competitive. For a home loan, basically your interest rate is 3.28, and they update this once a week, Fridays about after 5:30. Well, last time I checked, 3.28% is the lowest rate, and amongst all the other rates that people can qualify right now is pretty much the lowest rates available. There is a discount rate, which I'll talk about a little bit later here, and that just further drops down your rate even more. Now, when I was talking about property taxes, if you are 100% disabled, have a disability rating, Maybe there was some issue that you had when you were serving, and they rated you 100%. You're going to be 100% exempt from paying property taxes, which is a huge, huge benefit. So depending on where you're located, that additional 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 or more, you don't have to worry about paying for. We just got to make sure that you do apply for it with the county once we get your home. And if you're not 100%, kind of just shows you what your deductions and ratings would be on a scale, which you can get. So from 10 to 30%, 5,000, 30 to 50, 7,500, all the way up to $1,200. Now they also have grant programs for those who have the disabilities that affect as far as your home. The VA paraplegic housing grant, which is up to 63,000. If they need to make adjustments, if you need adjustments or accommodations to your home, there's a housing grant for about 12,000. If there's any necessary improvements that need to be made, you can get additional assistance from HISA and Haven as far as making adjustments to your home as well. Kind of going into a little bit about the home improvement loans. The maximum amount is 25,000. You get the term of 20 years. If it's less than 10,000, you get a 10-year term. They're all going to be insured, and you're going to take advantage of the same exact rate that you would for if you were purchasing a home. You get to basically pick your contractor. There's no down payments required. It's a one-time close, and like I said, the VAB basically originates this for you. For those who are interested in buying land, the minimum requirement basically, if you're not going through their site, is at least 1 acre. They'll go up to 125,000, 30-year fixed, 6 3/4. You'll put down a minimum of 5%, and they'll basically do the deed and hold the deed for the note. All this can be done online. There's an application fee of $325. There's a specific contract that you got to use. Now, I don't specialize in land, but I do have somebody on my team, for any of those who are interested on here and want more information. I can definitely put you guys in contact with them to make sure you get taken care of. Now, for those who get reactivated to get called up to the Guard or Reserve, basically what they'll do for you when you go through the VLB, they'll reduce your interest rate to 0%. They're going to defer your payments, and then once you come back and you're deactivated, you have about basically 3 months grace period before your payments are resumed, and then your loan reverts basically to the 6% maximum for the remaining 9 months. So basically, they're gonna limit the amount that your interest rate can actually go up. So if you have any more questions or need any help, if you're a veteran, definitely take advantage. Write this number down. Like I said, I'll still send this information to you. Give them a call. They're more than willing to help you. There's always somebody live to talk to you, whether it's you want to talk about real estate or any additional benefits. They'll definitely put you in the right, point you in the right direction. So the second most important step is going to be basically finding a great and experienced agent. So your agent should be a person who, in my opinion, has experience. You definitely want to pre-qualify them, get to know them, make sure you feel comfortable. One of the things that you know if you're working with somebody that is professional, is in your best interest, the first thing they should ask you for is a consultation. If they're not asking you for a consultation and they're just saying, you know, hey, I'll show you this, I'll show you that, they're basically doing you a disservice, because you don't know, or he doesn't know, or she doesn't know if you guys are the right fit. He won't truly understand what your wants and needs are. You're going to have a lot of questions, and they may just be just trying to get you to buy a home. So, you know, you want to make sure that whoever you decide to go with, you know, that they set up a consultation with, and you get to know them and make sure you feel comfortable. Because your agent is designed to represent your best interest throughout the process and to make sure that you're satisfied as well. If any point at any time you feel like that you're not getting the best service, you're not obligated to stay with that person. I know for myself, I always let people know that if I'm not doing a good job, please let me know. At least give me the opportunity to fix the situation. And if for some reason it's just not working out, we can always part as friends. I'll definitely hold no grudges because at the end of the day, you have to do what's best for your family. Um, but a good agent is going to make sure that we focus on the homes that meet your needs, kind of tell you the pros and cons about it, and prompt you to make a decision, especially in this market where inventory is kind of low in some areas and there could be other competitors, other buyers looking to buy that home. Or we're going in it, we're going to go through the criteria, and if it meets those criteria, I'm going to always ask you and push you to make a decision whether we need to keep it on the list or we need to move forward and figure out what do we want to offer and put our best foot forward. Because what you realize is, from the consultation, there's really truly no perfect home. And by me saying that, what that means is, there's always, especially if you're buying a pre-owned home, there's always going to be something small, something unique about the home that you might not like, but it's going to have the room size, it's going to have the backyard that you like, the amenities, the granite, the flooring, things like that. But there may be something like as far as paint that you might not like about the home. So, we're going to go through and kind of tell you the pros and cons. And if we meet, at least 3 out of 5 main criteria that you're looking for in there, we're going to ask you to make a decision because that's usually going to be the best home for you. Like I said, whether it be in a very competitive market, they should be increasing your chances to get your offer accepted. What I've done in the past, and I currently still do, is in some instances, if I get a little bit idea of the actual seller, try to set up showings to where the seller is usually coming home at that time. So that way they can kind of put a face with our offer. I'm always going to make our offer sound personal. We're going to have the lenders call, just doing whatever we can to separate ourselves from the next person and let them know why we should be the person that receives the home as opposed to everybody else. There should also have lenders, not lenders, but vendors to help you throughout the process. So especially if we need to move fast, home inspectors, at least a list of them that you can pick and choose from, but you can always choose your own. That is your option. A structural engineer, if you happen to come across a home that may have possible movement or foundation issues, I highly recommend getting a structural engineer out there to actually look at it to tell you if your home is still moving or if everything is okay. Being that we're in Texas, you're going to have, basically, we have expansive soil. So one of the things I say, if you don't have any movement or foundation issues now, you probably will later. Now, you just want to make sure that there's nothing continuously going on that you want to make sure that you take care of ahead of. And if there's some homes that need some rehabbing, we'll have a list of general contractors, insurance agents, and the list goes on. Also, the person that you decide to work with, if you don't feel comfortable with them, definitely ask them for references. They should have them readily available, and you should be able to speak to their references and kind of get an idea of how it felt to work with them, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and basically unfiltered. And they should always be putting, like I said, your interest first, and knowing that uh, they want to be your best source basically for your future needs and any related needs with regards to real estate or maybe anything in general, because we always come into contact with a lot of additional professionals, and you just never know who we might be able to help you with if you have a certain issue. So just to kind of highlight the process, you want to get qualified for a loan, you want to find an agent, decide what you want to buy, start after that scheduling the home that you want to look at that meet your criteria, write the offer on a home, hopefully get it accepted, and then you want to make sure you have enough cash on hand as far as your earnest money and option money. So typically you'll see where your option money is maybe $150, $200, depending on how competitive we want to be to separate ourselves, as well as your earnest money. Typically you hit a rule of thumb 1% of the purchase price. Depending on the circumstance of the actual home, like if it's a home that's been still on the market, we might be a little less aggressive and offer a little bit less. If we find out that there's a lot more multiple offers on there, if we can, we'll try to add a little bit more if you're able to, because your earnest money is money that you can get back as long as we meet the contingencies as far as we can't get financing or we decide to opt out during the due diligence. But once we get the contract accepted, We're going to be on the contract. Typically, we're going to either ask for 7 to 14 days to look at the home. So we're going to get it inspected. We're going to get the report back, and if we want to look for major issues, like if there's anything to deal with the AC, the foundation, the plumbing, anything of that requires a huge expense, we want to definitely make sure it gets taken care of beforehand and negotiate those terms. And then in the process, you'll be sending additional documentation to the lenders. They're going to be asking for your bank statements again, and thousands of other documents just to make sure that they can close the loan. And then they're going to also order the appraisal. We're going to make sure that the appraisal comes in right. If for some reason the appraisal comes in lower than what we're under contract for, we're going to negotiate to basically go at the appraisal price or even lower, or we'll just decide that we'll just walk away. Because in my opinion, even though you want that home, I want to make sure to protect your future as well. You never really want to overpay, because at the end of the day, most people end up, selling their home 10 to 15 years down the road, and you want to make sure that you have enough equity in the event you need to sell, that you can actually sell it home and move on to the next one. And then once appraisal comes in, go ahead.
Okay, so the due diligence as far as getting the home inspected and the appraisal, about how much is that? Because that's not included in the closing. That's stuff that comes out of your pocket ahead of time, correct?
Correct. So for one of the inspectors that I use, his current rate is about $350 for the home inspection, and then $75 for the termite inspection. Which, when you're doing lender financing, they're going to want a termite inspection.
Okay.
So you're looking at $425 out of pocket. But again, spending that $425 to know exactly what you're getting into,
right,
it's well worth it, especially if you're going to be investing, $100,000, $150,000, $200,000 plus on a home that you're going to be obligated to pay.
Right. So once you get to that point, once you've written an offer and it's accepted, they can't then take offers from other people, correct?
No, they can't take offers from any other people. Now, okay, with that being said, you do have those outliers to where a seller is willing to take on the legal aspect of it. So I mean, contractually they're obligated to, but you could run into that seller who's just like, hey, I want to take another offer and I'll risk going to court. And so then at that time, you will have to figure out, is it worth you taking the person to court, which you can, because you'll have a case that they were in default of performance since you had a contract with them, and basically you can sue for all the money that you paid for. In some cases, the court could probably force them to actually sell you the house. So it just really depends. I haven't personally ran into that situation. Most of the people, once we got on the contract and they accepted the terms, we moved forward. And the only way that we decided to back out is if either the seller didn't want to repair the items that we asked for, that we figured were major issues, or that's pretty much about it, or we decided to opt out. Financing wise, I'm always on top of the lenders, and we've closed every loan that I've dealt with. And then you said something about the appraisal, correct? So yeah, the appraisal once you get past a little bit of the option part, they're gonna a little bit later on they're gonna order the appraisal, and that's just gonna come in as far as when in your loan package.
Oh, okay.
So for the next steps, figure out what your big why is, get motivated, go get pre-qualified for a loan, speak to a lender. I have, like I said, people that I work with that I trust, they do a good job. You can speak with them and have a good idea of what you need to do. Then set up an appointment with a great and experienced agent, and then go out there and find and buy your dream home. So thank everyone for attending. If you have any questions at this time, I'm definitely looking here as far as people typing. I don't see anything. Looks like they said I answered the question. Does anybody have any additional questions at this time that I can answer?
No. Good.
No verbal. No, 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 no. Okay,
No,
well, again,
nothing.
guys, thank you guys for attending. Here's my information. I'll send this out as well later on this evening, this slide and then the packets as well. And feel free to give me a call if you have any questions or concerns. I'm always here to help. Thank you guys for attending, and until next time.
Thank you.